I put my Lamborghini in a head-to-head race with this. Why? The media would have you believe that twisty mountain roads are the great equalizer of cars. If you're in something much slower, all those corners must even out the difference, right? Let's see. We lined up for our first race at the top of the mountain. You could cut the tension with a knife. The lights went out and it was go time. But to my absolute horror, the GT86 got a massive lead off the start. No, just kidding. I gave him a head start. And it took me just 30 seconds to catch up, although I can't brag too much because I did almost understeer into the railings more than once. But once we hit one of the long straightaways, passing the 86 was a breeze. Now would probably be a good time to tell you what I've got in store. I picked out 4 roads, each one twistier than the last. If the 86 can beat the Lambo in just one of these races, I'll let the media slide on this occasion. The next road was sure to make a more equal match of these cars. Even if the Lambo was faster, the constant barrage of corners would make it hard to overtake. But before you get to the twisty part, there is a ton of straightaways, and I managed to overtake the 86 here. But good news, the video isn't a total flop, because once we got onto the twisties, I just couldn't lose the 86. He was in my rear view like a housefly that wouldn't leave you alone. Although I managed to lose him eventually, this gave me hope that the 86 would actually stand a chance on twistier roads, like this one. It's narrower, steeper, and even twistier. With some smart defensive driving from the 86, it was almost impossible to find an overtaking opportunity. I was stuck in second gear for what felt like an eternity, but once we reached the hairpins, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Despite being a supercar, the Lambo was cumbersome compared to the nimble 86, and even when I had the inside line, I found it hard to overtake. However, succeeding in the hairpins was a stonking big straight. And yeah, I sailed past the 86 once again. So straightaways are the 86's greatest weakness, and both cars are equally matched on hairpins. So what about a road where there's no real straights and every corner is a hairpin? Welcome to Irohazaka. I sent it down the mountain, following the 86 for the final time, determined to not let him get a single victory. But as we approached the first hairpin in excess of 70 miles per hour, I forgot how bad that car's brakes were, and then I rear-ended him. With that, I decided to be a bit more cautious and hang back until I knew I had a solid gap to overtake. But I waited and it just never come. I was probing him through every corner, outside, inside, and back to the outside again, applying pressure and hoping he would make a mistake. And finally, I forged myself room to overtake. All I had to do was put down the power and get to the corner before him. But then, disaster. The 86 pit maneuvered me and sent me careening into the guardrail, probably getting his own back for that shunt from earlier. It wasn't fair, but the GT86 now gained a massive 30-second lead. I knew I had my work cut out, and I pushed the Lambo as hard as I dared. I couldn't see or hear the 86 to this point, and I thought I had totally lost. But then I caught a glimpse of the red 86 and I knew the race was back on. With just a few corners to go, I was back on his tail. But overtaking was going to be tough as the roads get even narrower towards the end, and as we approached the final corner, I saw a gap. I knew this was how I would win, but the GT86 shut that door instantly, and he sailed away to victory. So are twisty mountain roads realistically the great equalizer of cars? Probably not, unless you feel like pit maneuvering someone. But if you don't, click on this video in which I tell you everything you need to know about slip angle in less than 2 minutes.